Segment is brought to you by Scott Tucker Solutions and his show Retirement Decoded. Sunday mornings at 8. Learn more at scotttuckersolutions.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Good Wednesday morning. Amy Jacobson here. Jim Urio in for Dan Proft.
Yep.
Thanks for being with us on this big week for you. You turned 60 years old.
Yes, I did.
And it's also a big week because the big guy tomorrow,
What big guy tomorrow?
Governor Pritzker, is going to announce that he's running for a third term.
Aren't we lucky?
We've never had a third term Democratic gubernatorial person. Jim Thompson was he served 3 terms as a Republican, but yeah, the big announcement's coming tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I thought he was going to run for president. I thought I was going to give to that campaign, get him out of here.
He can still run for president even when he runs for governor.
Okay.
But he has to choose a new running mate. That's the big
Why is that?
scuttlebutt. Because Juliana Stratton is running for the U.S. Senate seat.
Okay.
So, I don't know. Did you get the memo? Are you going to be his running mate?
Of course, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And also yesterday, I know this is with heavy hearts, we talk about another Chicago police officer gone. Krystal Rivera, her wake was yesterday. Thousands came, and I always, just stop and say a prayer for her and her daughter, who's, I think she's 11 years old, and lost her mom, single mom. She died on June 5th when investigators say a fellow officer unintentionally, of course, shot her during a tactical operation in Chatham. 2 people, though, are now facing charges in connection with the incident. But here is one of the officers who is wearing a Krystal Rivera T-shirt.
One of the parents created this shirt, and we always going to have this with us, which is a remembrance of Krystal Rivera. And every time we play, we're going to represent her because I know her spirit is always going to be with us. Not only that, but Bella is a reflection of Krystal. And she, like I said, is going to be a part of the team forever.
With more on this, let's welcome back to the program former Chicago Police Superintendent Garry McCarthy, Chief of Police now in Willow Springs. And he joins us now on our Turnkey.pro answer line. Good morning, Mr. McCarthy. How are you?
Oh, good morning. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay.
A little depressed listening to everything.
I know. Well, can you...
Between the politics and the funeral.
Oh, I know. We'll talk about the New York mayoral race because I was just... Because you're from Jersey. Actually, but today is...
It's from Boston.
No, he's from New York.
Oh, my God. I'm going to hang up on you guys.
Oh, my God. We just started talking to you. You're going to hang up on us already?
The Bronx, New York.
Okay, I've heard of it.
Don't get along with Boston at all. I hate beans. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I'm not a Boston fan either, but that's another talk topic. But Krystal Rivera, I know that 2 people have been arrested or facing charges in connection with the incident. But do you know have any inside information on what happened that fateful night?
Well, yeah, I only know, I can't call it inside information.
Okay.
But all the reports that I'm hearing are they went to do a stop, and the individual who they tried to stop ran into the building, was alerting people that the cops were chasing him. He went into an apartment, and in the apartment was the first guy who got arrested, who leveled a rifle at the officers. And in that confusion, shot was fired by Krystal's partner, who unfortunately struck her, and she passed away from that. But here's the thing that people have to know.
Yes.
And, you just mentioned Governor Pritzker running for another term. I have a talk show, and we're doing a 3-part series on the Safety Act, which came to be back in 2021, I believe it was, during my time out from policing. And the bottom line is, there used to be, and there still is, but it's been curbed, something called felony murder. And just to make it simple, if you're in a stolen car and you run over, somebody with a baby carriage, you get charged with murder based upon you're already committing a felony because you're in the stolen car. That has been curbed dramatically. And what is so disappointing is that, the news is reporting, and they're correct, that there's 2 guys who are in custody based upon the incident, but they're not charged with murder. Leveling the rifle. You can draw a direct line between leveling the rifle at the officers. So, my question is, is Governor Pritzker going to explain to Krystal Rivera's daughter in 2 years why mommy isn't around, but the guy who started the whole thing, who should have been charged with murder, is back out on the street?
The whole thing, who shot the friendly fire thing is completely irrelevant. I mean, it makes no sense to me that we're talking about that. It's obvious the person who leveled a shotgun is the one who's responsible for this. If you want to take the discussion into where they trained properly, that's an entirely different discussion. But this, what you're saying is it's amazing.
But it's everywhere.
I mean,
here we go. Another story from CWB. He's in custody after sexually assaulting a 57-year-old woman aboard a Blue Line train. She's has special needs, raped her on the train, then took her to the Metro train yard and raped her 3 more times. And that guy should have never have been out on the street to begin with. But we tell this story time and time, day after day after day, with preventable crimes if the Safety Act just went away. And I don't know. I mean, it's just mind-boggling to me that the Safety Act hasn't been dismantled, or there have been some reforms, but and Pritzker doesn't. I mean, does he not see this? Is he that stupid?
The bottom line is that the way the politics works, that Safety Act was signed off on, I think, at 4:00 in the morning, and it was a 700-page document that was delivered to the elected officials at 10:00 at night. If I got that story wrong, then somebody needs to tell me. But that's the story that I hear. Nobody read it.
No one read it.
And it was cobbled together by, I like to think, but I guess I'm wrong, that I'm in the center. I'm not liberal. I'm not conservative. I try to be practical. But I don't understand, the guy who just won the Democratic mayoral nod in New York City is an avowed socialist.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't there a socialist party? Why are they Democrats? I don't understand this.
That's a great point.
Well,
because you know what? Mm-hmm. Everybody in my neighborhood growing up, cops, firemen, electricians, plumbers, you name it, right? Democrats, Kennedy Democrats. That's what I've been called. But this left thing is just beyond me. AOC, right? She actually is from the Bronx. Mm-hmm. Which is very troubling to me. I don't understand. Get your own party. See if you can get elected. Get out of the Democratic Party. Let's get back to the center here.
Hold on, though, because Kevin Roberts was just on, and in his theory, it's almost like stay with the Democratic Party because you guys are rotting yourself from within.
I don't know if the Democrats are ever going to win a national election again.
This is what I wonder.
Well, that's what I thought, but then Zafran won last night.
I know, but that's New York. I mean, I got nothing.
All right, so in the Wall Street Journal, they opined about Brandon Johnson, our mayor. Chicago's Brandon Johnson isn't America's worst mayor for nothing. He works hard at it.
Oh, good.
They wrote. Consider his veto last Friday of a teen curfew ordinance that would have let Chicago police disperse late night gatherings or teen takeovers that have gotten out of hand. Here's the mayor.
I will veto this ordinance because it is counterproductive to the progress that we have made in reducing crime and violence in our city. It would create tensions between residents and law enforcement at a time when we have worked so hard to rebuild that trust. Offering up police power, extended police power without any check or balance has not boded well for black people and brown people in this country.
So it's racist now?
Well, he can't speak without saying black and brown people. I'm serious. Is that racist? I don't know. Only white people are racist.
Well, if you were police superintendent, I mean, it passed 27-22. He vetoed it, which to overturn the veto, you need 34 votes. That's not going to happen. They barely got the 27 that they had. But how would this help with those teen takeovers?
Well, they would be able to probably make arrests, if I understand this, just for being there. But the bottom line with this thing is they're not teen takeovers. That sounds cute. That's really cute. Hey, you know what? I'm going to send my son. Teen takeover sounds like a good party, but they're mob actions, and they're destructive, and there's been shootings at them.
Right.
So I don't know.
But why can't they just arrest them? I mean, they're stopping traffic. There's a number of charges that they could file against these teens who who create mob action.
And they do make some arrests like that. But in the case of the curfew, they could probably, I don't know the details of it, honestly, so I shouldn't be speaking, but they should be able to just lock up these kids for being out there.
Kevin,
it needs to be something that goes back to the parents.
But Garry, is this a fair assessment? During the mayoral election, he told us exactly who he was and his opinions toward crime. And if anything, he was much more crime-friendly than he was law enforcement.
Well, he wanted to defund police.
He wanted to defund police. He wanted to eliminate cash bail. He wanted to eliminate foot pursuit. I mean, I've always said, well, he's a very crime-friendly mayor. So in that respect, I mean, he said he was going to basically favor crime, and now crime is being favored. He did what he said. It's not his fault. It's the voters' fault, correct?
I agree. But it's not really the voters' fault. It's the machine's fault.
Yeah, okay.
Because the only machine that I believe that's left in Chicago right now is Tony Preckwinkle.
Yep.
And that goes to SEIU and the teachers union. Mm-hmm. And I know people in those organizations who flat out were forced to go and work for Brandon Johnson. Well, and they didn't vote for him. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
I mean, who do you think is going to be our next mayor of Chicago? Because if they put this guy back in office, then that's some serious Stockholm syndrome.
Well, you know what? There's one point to be made that he's right on, which is the fact they're doing reasonably well with crime. I don't know if they're going to get to the levels that we got to in 2013 and 2014, but they're doing pretty well. And you know what? Nobody's talking about what the impact of ICE might have on the crime rate in Chicago.
Yep.
If they're picking up murderers, shooters, robbers, and so on, and gang members like from Tren de Aragua, they're reducing crime for Chicago.
Are you for mass deportation, though, for anyone who came here illegally, or just for violent criminals?
It's
a tough one, right? Yeah.
It is.
It is a tough one for me because I could tell you this. On my mom's side, we go back to Pilgrims and Native Americans.
Oh, okay? We're related.
Don't joke, Amy, because I found a woman down the block who's a 10th cousin of mine.
Oh, my gosh. Did you ask her for money?
No, I did not. She's a wonderful woman. Okay. Anyway, that's on my mom's side. And on my dad's side, my grandfather had to flee Ireland because he was IRA, and he would have been probably what we would call undocumented. Mm-hmm. However, they got legally married here in 1913. So I'm confused by it. But at the end of the day, we need to be a welcoming country, but you got to go through a process.
Yep.
You can't just show up. Hey, I'm here. I'm an American. No, you're not. You can't walk into Canada. As a matter of fact, I got stopped at Canada. When I was superintendent, I went to a conference up in Halifax. And coming back, you would have thought it was, what was that movie, Midnight Express? With the guy with the cocaine. And I was the only one walking into the customs area. Uh-huh. And these guys were looking at me like I was a criminal from like 100 yards away. And I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm the police superintendent in Chicago. And it didn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
It seems like that should carry some weight.
Yeah.
And also, too, some unsolicited advice for people. Excuse me. If you're divorced and you want to go to Canada, you have to have a notarized letter from the child's parent, whether it be the mom or dad, saying that you are allowing them to come into the country, and you have to have a passport. So they're very strict over there, but we don't have those same kind of rules. That's for sure.
No, well, I ever really need to worry about it because I don't plan on going to Canada anytime soon.
Oh, you don't?
No.
You mean our new 51st state?
Oh, wait, though. My daughter's presenting at a conference. Yeah, well, you go. Yeah.
What if it becomes the 51st state, like Amy said?
Yeah, now I'm all in. Yeah,
No,
we'll go fishing. We'll go...
It's so funny, too, because the left gets so up in arms. Like, he's trolling you.
Yeah, of course he's
President
trolling
Trump
you.
is trolling
And there's
everybody.
nothing wrong with saying we covet we like your. It's a compliment to say we want you as the 51st state.
But the one thing that I found attractive about Canada is they do have stricter immigration rules than we do here. So, all right, one last question before we let. Oh, sorry.
I said lots of hockey, too.
Oh, yeah. One last question in regards to Krystal Rivera. Was this a training issue? I mean, do you think the cadets and the officers are properly trained?
You know what? Sometimes, and different people react to stress in different fashions. Mm-hmm. Some people, and I actually experienced this, when you get into those super stressful situations, training kicks in and you don't even realize that you're doing what you were trained to do. It's really remarkable. And then there's other people where it just goes out the window. And I actually saw there was a video when I was superintendent of two cops firing into a moving vehicle, and they're standing next to each other basically. And as the car passes them, they both turn and are shooting at the car. The guy almost hit his partner. Ugh. And it was just, what are you thinking? First of all, if I changed the policy on shooting into moving vehicles, because even if you're Clint Eastwood and you hit the driver and you kill him, now you've got a 2,000-pound bullet running down the street, and you know that there's got to be a kid running out in the street to get a baseball.
Right.
So, but some people training goes out the window, and in those stressful situations, and when they get super hyper stressed. Some people don't even remember what occurred. I can tell you this. There's two, as best I could put it together, two separate 20-minute periods from 9/11 that I don't recall at all. People have told me about things that we did, what was going on. They're just blanks. They're just blanks. And, you know, I like to think that I'm good under stress. I've never fired my weapon except at the range, and I've been involved in a couple hundred gun arrests. So, you know, that kind of says something.
Yep.
But by the same token, you know, the mind does funny things.
Yep. All right. The former Superintendent Garry McCarthy, we're going to have to leave it there for today. Chief of Police in Willow Springs. By the way, how's your job going there?
Oh, it's great.
Any teen takeovers or anything spicy happening?
Nothing spicy. As a matter of fact, there's a reporter who wants to come in all the time and go through all the incidents that have occurred, and we have virtually none. So, yeah, let's not talk about it because, you know, something that'll happen.
I know. We don't want to jinx anything. All right, Garry McCarthy, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure and informative. And he joined us on our turnkey .pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Planning a wedding is a monumental task. After months and months of preparation,